What is up, fam? Welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, bringing you an episode today. I've got a good one. Joined by none other than Mr. Talon Hull. Talon joined me just ahead of his race that's going to be taking place this upcoming Sunday at the Broken Arrow 23K. This is a Broken Arrow 23K pre-race episode, but we also got a little bit into Talon's backstory. Big fan of Talon. He was kind enough to join me on the pod literally just like within a couple days, about a week removed from his top 10 finish at the U.S. Mountain Running Championship out in Sunapee a couple weekends ago. Got to chat a little bit about that race, kind of how the race kind of went down for him, how he was able to move up in the field and had himself a great day there. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about kind of the stoke and how excited he is to go be back to Broken Arrow. Talon's had some really great finishes at this race, some amazing results. He seems to be kind of in that sweet spot and the sub ultra 23K kind of down Cirque series kind of range for races. So yeah, it was a super fun conversation, and wishing Talon the absolute best of luck. It's going to be fun to kind of follow his race day. Didn't talk to too many of the 23K guys ahead of the race, so this was a good one to kind of get some eyeballs on the 23K. It's kind of wild that a Golden Trail Series race might be overshadowed by what might be the most competitive 50K, 46K ever assembled on American soil for our selection races. So what a weekend at Broken Arrow. It's going to be crazy. So without further ado, none other than Mr. Talon Hull. Talon Hull, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good.
Good, man.
No complaints.
Good to finally have you on the pod. I don't think we talked last year. I think we raced at a couple of the same races. I think you were at Cirque Grand Targhee and Cirque Alta. I think that's where I recognized you from. Yeah. No, I'm glad to finally have you on the pod and get a conversation going. Dude, you just got back from Sunapee. Obviously, it's about a week removed. Congratulations on a top 10 finish there. I think that was a pretty solid result given the given just how deep that field was. Maybe talk about your race a little bit and kind of how things are going post race.
Yeah. Like you said, it was super deep. Kind of thought that was how it was going to go, just going into the race. Just looking at the entry list, and racing a lot of my own teammates. I know how good they are. So I was excited, and I didn't really have a lot of expectations because it was my season opener. So I just kind of went into the race with an open mind and was really excited for the bad conditions and just the nature of the course, the steep climbs and the really muddy steep descents.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty good about it. 8th place in that field is I think it's pretty solid. They were talking to just a lot of my teammates about the race beforehand and after. And at least on the men's side, we didn't feel like there was really a definitive top 4 that would make the team.
Yeah.
I knew Taylor was really good. I knew Taylor was really fit. Just talking to him and seeing his training and his last couple of races have been really good. I genuinely thought Dan, I didn't think he could lose on that course, but
dude, I thought the same thing.
There were just a lot of people that I thought were in really good shape. I didn't feel like I was in fantastic shape by any means going into the race, but I'm pretty excited about it. Not great, not bad, but a good season opener. I'm happy with it.
It was very solid. How do you feel about Broken Arrow?
Yeah, coming up. I'm actually racing Twisted Fork.
Are you going to come out for it? Nice.
At the end of the week, so I'm not really thinking about Broken Arrow much right now. Just kind of, I'm not super invested into Twisted Fork, but I think it'll be a fun race, and Finn invited me to come out there and go do it, and I'm from Utah originally, so it gives me a good excuse to go back home.
Nice.
So that's where my mind is right now, but the nerves for Broken Arrow haven't started quite yet. It's definitely in the back of my mind in workouts.
Okay.
And specific sessions that I'm doing right now. I'm is this for Twisted Fork, or is this a tune up for Broken Arrow, or is Twisted Fork a tune up for Broken Arrow?
Yeah, what is it? You tell me. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are, I don't want to say looking past it, because it's obviously, it's an important race and it's first year for the Finns got it. But I don't know. I got to figure that a lot of folks are not looking past it, but using that as a tune up to see where they are for Broken Arrow.
Yeah, I think that's probably the general sentiment. It's like just it's kind of a hard weekend to hold a race if you want to get a lot of like really elite people out. Obviously, because it's the week before. Yeah, and it's just like how I was originally in the 30K, and then last week I texted Finn and I was like, I don't think I'll recover in time if I do the 30K for Broken Arrow. So he dropped me down to the 15K, which is
Nice.
still like super competitive because it's just like pretty much everyone good in Utah is going. So like I don't know how hard I'm gonna run it or if it's gonna be like a hard training run or if it's gonna be like a race effort. I'll see like the day of. But I think it like regardless it'll just be really fun.
Nice.
And that's kind of where my mind is at for with Broken Arrow too. It's just like I just think it'll be fun regardless.
Interesting. I want to double back a little bit to Sunapee. I got to ask you some questions
Sure,
more
yeah.
specifically just about the course. And did you race it like in any specific way? Like, did you maybe hold back in maybe the first lap? Because I feel like the race obviously they always start out stupid fast, right? But it's like obviously the person usually leading the first loop is not necessarily the person winning the race, as we saw unfold in this race. Did you hold back a little bit in the first? Like, did you use any tactics or kind of how did you approach it?
I I feel like I did hold back a little bit. I wish I could have said I was like sandbagging more, but honestly, I want to say I was probably in like 10th place or like 8th to 10th place. No, I think I was in 10th place in the first loop. Honestly, I just like wasn't climbing well. If I was climbing really well that day, I definitely I like always like to put myself up in the front if I'm feeling good. Um, but kind of how my race unfolded was like decent first lap and then got a bit of a second wind on the second lap. Ran like pretty well through the second climb, which is like really technical. It was just like mud pits, and descended pretty well too. And then I think I got like two people. I passed Tyler McCandles or McCandless
Yeah.
and Remy on that section up there. So I felt pretty good about my second lap, but I was just like too far gone from like the top six.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It was just the tactics and seeing how everything played out. It's interesting to kind of follow along. All right. So, I mean, dude, like I said, want to double back and say congratulations. Like, what a good race. Solid. All right. So, part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation was like kind of a Broken Arrow discussion, just to kind of doing these Broken Arrow preview race or race preview episodes. So, I'm just trying to get some of the favorites for the 23K, the VK, and the 46K, and ask some just more specific stuff about the race and kind of preparation, how that's going. Obviously, you're a little bit different because you already, popped off the season at Sunapee is super competitive race. Broken Arrow is going to be crazy too. I mean, the 23K, it is a Golden Trail Series race, so it's going to be kind of nuts. I'm just curious, like, as far as I know, you're not necessarily looking toward it, maybe looking a little bit more at Twisted Fork first, but what's the stoke level for Broken Arrow? Is it an A race? Is that more of a B race? Like, kind of, how are you approaching that race specifically this year as far as the calendar goes?
Yeah, I'm Broken Arrow is always one of my A races. I raced it the last 3 years, and that's usually uh, just a race I always put on my calendar and try to do really well at. Well, all my training is kind of geared towards that for the last like 2 months or so. So yeah, that's always a race I want to do really well at. It's the most competitive race in the country, um, and it has been since I started running it. So yeah, definitely Stoke is high, I guess. Yeah, and I'm just excited. It's like uh, kind of I don't really know where my fitness is at right now. Like Sunapee was like it doesn't really tell me a lot, honestly, because it's not super similar to Broken Arrow as far as the courses.
Yeah.
And obviously, like Broken Arrow is at altitude and not muddy, and there's very different. So it's hard to compare, and like different people race well on different courses. So it's like I don't really know where my fitness is at right now. I feel pretty decent, but like regardless, just always excited to go out, and I'm just always excited to race that.
What are your thoughts on it? That's a Golden Trail Series race this year. Like, obviously, the depth is going to be like stupid deep. Everybody's going to be there.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I mean, my only real experience with Golden Trail, I don't really do their series, but I did Mammoth last year, um, and yeah, I got rocked by the field. Like it's funny. You're just I am so used to like racing all these US guys, and like that's hard enough as it is, and then you could throw all these like European and African and like even South American people in the race, and it's just and like Asia. I mean, literally everyone from all around the world is just coming to this little ski town, um, and yeah, it's just the depth is insane. And I always thought like the American men's depth in that race was always crazy. Like 2 years ago we swept, and then last year it was just like taken over by the Kenyans. They just kind of took off, and then yeah, this year I'm sure it's going to be like crazy fast again. It's been like historically like the loop has been done. Like if you run under 2 hours, like probably going to do pretty well. That's just not the case anymore.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. Our sport has gotten so like the amount of folks. I mean, I guess we could talk about the American side, but just the international side too. It's bananas how fast the sport is now. Like it's changed and transformed like in the last few years, and it's only getting faster, which is nuts.
It has, yeah. So 2 years ago, I was fourth at Broken Arrow uh, in the snow, and that was like a great race for me. But it's interesting, like that field had like a good amount of like really talented European athletes, and like a European athlete won the BK, and then a lot of them doubled back to do the 23K. Um, but the American men just like really shined in that race. We went 1 through 4. Um, and then there was like a Italian guy, and then Garrett Corcoran was 6, and it was just like a really good showing for American men. Um, and I've always thought like the course and like the altitude has always like favored Americans, just because a lot of us train up at altitude in like Colorado and Utah and like a lot of other high places. And I think a lot of like European athletes tend to struggle a little bit more at altitude races, and American athletes seem to shine a bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that'll be the case for me, but it wasn't last year. And I'm kind of one of those people who's like a bit hit or miss at altitude races. So like I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. No, dude, where do you train out of? Are you? I know. Did you say you were in Boulder? Is that where you're at now?
Yeah, I'm in Boulder now. So I moved to Boulder about a year and a half ago, and then I lived in Seattle
Okay.
for 6 years before that.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I thought you were Pacific Northwest, but I wasn't sure. It's funny, dude. I was talking to Dan about this semi recently about that. You and him were on that video that like went super viral on Instagram.
Yeah.
Was that you who almost fell?
Yeah, that was me. I was taking
Shit.
them on a tour of Mount Si, which is like just this beautiful mountain outside of Seattle, and it's a mountain I've done like a couple hundred times, and I'm like really comfortable on that kind of terrain and that mountain specifically. But it's like he just like caught me at a really bad time, and yeah, that video is crazy. It's like it has like probably 20 million views or something on like all platforms. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, dude, you guys are like famous from that. That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, so both at Sunapee and it seems like a Broken Arrow. Like Brooks shows up, man. Like maybe talk about I don't know. It's a very exciting time to be on the Brooks team right now, especially like their investment in the sub ultra, both European wise and in North America, has been crazy. It's probably, I mean, one of the best, if not the best, sub ultra teams on the planet right now. Maybe talk about what it's been like being on that team, especially now this year with, like I said, they rolled up at Sunapee. You guys had like a team house, and it seems like they're doing stuff at Broken Arrow as well. Maybe talk about that.
Yeah, I agree that Brooks has really shown out the last year or so for sure, especially investing more into like American athletes and North American athletes, like some Canadians as well. 2 years ago, that wasn't really the case. So, or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I signed with Brooks right out of college. Like finished up my track season and then went straight to the trails. Um, and I was like 23 at the time, and I was like one of the only sub ultra athletes. Kimber Maddox was like dabbling in sub ultra, but she's more of like a 50K runner, but she drops down in distance. So it was like me and her, and I think I was like the only person on the team who was under 30, and I was 23 at the time.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very different now, and it's really exciting. So it went me, and then they signed Mika, and then they signed Anna, then we signed Dan, and then we signed Taylor, and then we signed Sydney, and then we signed Remy, as far as all of our like sub ultra people. So it was this like very niche, um, small little group, and now it's just getting really big, and it's really exciting, and it feels like a family, you know.
That's so cool, man. I love seeing it grow and develop. Dude, maybe tell your story a little bit because you haven't been on the podcast. My plan was to get you back on maybe after Broken Arrow or maybe later in the season to do like a long form, like 1 or 2 hour chat. But I'm just so curious, like how did you know about the trails, like coming out of college and like going to sign with Brooks? Like obviously you came from the track. Maybe tell your story a little bit. I'm just very curious about this now.
Yeah, so my first ever trail race was actually the World Junior Mountain Running Championships. Uh, and not a lot of people know this about me, but I got third at the World Championships as a junior, just like coming out of high school. Um, and then I was pretty good in high school. I was like a top five kid in the country. Um, and then I went to school at the University of Washington. Um, was there for 5 years and had like pretty decent career, a lot of like really good cross country results, and ran like pretty fast on the track, at least what was fast at the time. And then, yeah, basically, just I was kind of always, while I was living in Seattle, I was always like venturing out into the surrounding mountains. And I would just rip up some of the mountains outside of Seattle, like this mountain called Mount Si. That's the viral video that Dan got of me, that mountain. And then some like really historic routes, like the enchantments. Um, so in 2021, or I believe there was the Golden Trail series did their like FKT contest on Strava,
Yeah.
and the enchantments was one of those routes that they did. And if you got the FKT, you get an entry into the Golden Trail series final. Um, so I went and ripped that with high hopes, and I got the FKT by like, I don't know. I crushed the previous FKT. Then I had it for like 5 days or something, and then Max King went and ripped it and beat me by like 6 or 8 minutes or something. Um, but that kind of like put me on the map in like the Pacific Northwest area, and Mario Mendoza took note of that. Um, and then he was already with Brooks, and we didn't really have any sort of like sub ultra people. Um, and he reached out to our athlete manager, um, Jordan, and Jordan is also like a local Seattle guy, and he had kind of taken note of just like some of the achievements I've done around like the mountains of Seattle. Um, yeah, and then we just kind of talked for a while, and I I finished up college, and then I signed right out of college, and then signed immediately before Broken Arrow my first year, and then ran the Broken Arrow VK like a couple days later, and then got rocked.
Dude, what a story, man. Holy crap. It's just interesting to me because usually, I don't know, like we don't get too many folks coming straight out of college and going like now, like it's obviously an option, but a few years ago, it like really wasn't on a lot of people's radar. So that's really cool that, yeah, shout out to Mario, man. Obviously, consummate professional. I think this is his last year or something. He's like kind of
Yeah, he's retiring.
in retirement, which is cool. I'm supposed to have him on soon. I got to reach out to him. But yeah, man, what a consummate professional, and so cool to see like him take note of that. And like, I mean, it kind of changes your life, right? Like if he hadn't taken note of that, who would have thought like maybe Brooks might have not been a thing? And it's always amazing to have like those people kind of help you develop and kind of you be help you get to where you're trying to go. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and a lot of like just running professionally is just kind of like being in the right place at the right time, and knowing some people, and obviously just like trying to perform really well. So
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky.
I gotta ask you this, man. One of the things that's interesting is like Dan has really sung your praises a lot. I've had Dan on the podcast a couple times now, and he's someone I really admire and look up to in the sport. Like he's, Dan's an interesting character, and
Yeah.
what a mind. Like what an interesting guy. Obviously, like what is your guys' relationship like? Because it seems like you guys are kind of close, and I know he dabbles with some time in Boulder as well. Like how's that been having him as a teammate?
Yeah. So I've known Dan since I want to say 2018, 2019. So
Okay.
while I was at the University of Washington, Dan's close friend, this guy named Andrew Jordan, he transferred from Iowa State, and did his last 2 years at the University of Washington. And Dan was done with college, and he just like came out with Andrew, and came to Seattle and started being coached by Andy Powell at the time, the University of Washington coach. Yeah, so Dan had a little group out there called the Ravenna Track Club. It consisted of this guy Fred Huxham, who was his Northwoods teammate with Ben True, and then Ben True wasn't there, but it was Fred Huxham, this guy Mick Stanisbeck, who runs for Puma now, Will Gohegan, who was a Oregon alum, and then Sam Prakel, who runs for Adidas currently. So they had this really talented little group out in Seattle that was just kind of like an add-on to the University of Washington team, and Andy was coaching all of them on the side. So Dan did that for like a year, and I got to know him kind of well through that. And I was obviously like really into trails at the time, and Dan was like also just getting into that kind of thing. We were both like really interested in trails, but like still trying to pursue like our track and cross country careers. And yeah, he was like one of the few people who we shared like a similar interest in the trails. And like I can't say like many of my other teammates, it's not super common for a lot of like people who come from a track background are like very interested. Like I'd offer a lot of the time, and people just like would say, that sounds crazy, like I don't want to get injured, stuff like that. But Dan is like always up for any kind of adventure. And we honestly didn't run together too much in Seattle, but we were always like in close proximity to each other. And for whatever reason, we've just like clicked really well. And then, yeah, a couple years later, I graduated and I signed with Brooks, and I noticed Dan was running really well, and just kind of like told the athlete manager for Brooks, I was like, hey, you should really sign this guy. Like, he's a great guy. Really talented. I think he had just won. Actually, I don't know, but I don't know what he won, but he was running really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've known each other for a really long time, and I'd say we're really good friends. And yeah, he was out in Boulder for a little while, and we got some runs in, and we've just stayed close throughout the years.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. It's interesting. Like I said, Dan's somebody I just like really admire in the sport. To kind of shift gears to Boulder, I know you've been there for some time now. How do you like in training I live in Colorado Springs, but like, how do you like training more altitude and like not in Seattle? Like, has it transformed your running at all? Like, do you feel like you've had improvements? Like, what do you think so far about the town?
Well, as far as Boulder, I really love Boulder. Like, I feel it's one of the few places where the trail access is just better in town than outside of town. Like, you don't have to commute anywhere. And that's a big plus, especially coming from Seattle, where I lived like in urban Seattle by the university for many years, and I'd always be commuting like 40 minutes each way.
Oh, wow.
To get to one of my favorite trails. So it was just a lot of driving and sitting in traffic. And obviously there's like all the aspects of a big city that can just make life a little bit harder, you know? Yeah. And like living in Boulder is just, for me, it's just a lot more relaxing. And I just find that training is a lot more enjoyable, and the weather's a lot better.
That's for sure.
Yeah. As far as altitude, it's like, I don't know if I've never been someone who's like adapted well to altitude, even like living in Utah, like growing up in Utah in high school. But yeah, I think it's definitely helped, especially racing at like all these altitude races. Like, I kind of felt like I needed to move to altitude just because so many races are held at really high elevations in the US, at least.
Yeah.
And obviously just like all the aspects of living and training at altitude that make you a better runner. And when I was living in Seattle, I was basically just like doing these altitude camps before these races, and then racing, and then going back to Seattle. And I was like, there's no reason like I really need to live here anymore. So I just wanted to venture out and try something new. And it's been really great. I have no complaints about living in Boulder. It's super pleasant.
Dude, I had no idea you lived there. I'm glad to hear. It's always, I feel like just the depth is so deep. We hit literally everybody lives in Colorado now. It's like
It's true. Yeah.
90% of our sport. Yeah. Have you been down to rip the incline yet at the Springs?
I've never actually ran in Colorado Springs. I'd never actually, I don't think I've been to Colorado like a handful of times before I moved out here, but I've never like ventured out really.
No
No.
shit. Oh, dude, you got to come down and do the incline one of these days, man. You love it. It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really obviously stupid specific, but like it's fun. It's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that looks sweet. Like that, if we had something like that in Boulder, there's obviously like really steep trails, but nothing quite to that level. Like I would probably run up that every single day.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
It's cool. It's cool. It's like our version of green, something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely harder than green. There's some like pretty steep ways up green, but the whole steps aspect, just like lifting your leg up that high, it's got to be really tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. It's fun. I got to be honest with you. Yeah. Hands down. What else you got on the schedule this year? What are you doing besides Broken Arrow?
Yeah, so I had Sunapee, I have Twisted Fork, and then Broken Arrow. And then I always usually take a bit of a break after Broken Arrow and just kind of like reevaluate my season. So I usually would have had like a couple more races under my belt this far in the year. But I just had like a little bit of an injury at the start of the year so I'm just like kind of getting back into the swing of training. So yeah, it's like a pretty blank slate after Broken Arrow. And then I'll probably just like take 4 to 6 weeks and just train and then like reevaluate. And then potentially have some like races on the calendar in the fall, like potentially Kodiak. I'm going to run a 50K, hopefully qualify for OCC, and then hopefully be out in Europe for UTMB, do the short ETC race they do there.
Oh, that'd be sweet, man. Am I going to see you in any Cirque Series races possibly?
Definitely Cirque Series, depending on like just what works out with the calendar. I haven't really sat down to think about it much, but I really want to go out to Crystal Mountain. That's the one outside of Mount Rainier.
Yeah. I'm signed up for
that. Seems really fun. And I really enjoyed Grand Targhee last year. That was really fun. And all the races they do in Utah are really excellent.
You ever ran out by Crystal? Like how are those trails?
I've never actually ran at the resort, but I've ran on Mount Rainier like a ton of times, but really pretty. And it's so scenic, and being that close to the mountain, it just looks huge. So like pictures and videos don't really do it justice. It's so much bigger and prettier up close. And like all of the trails in the national park and in the surrounding area are just like pretty well maintained, and just it's just PNW magic. It's that kind of trail. It's just green, and it's got that like nice pine needle feel underfoot. So it's kind of soft, like technical enough that it's like fun for running, but it's a national park. So they do like a good job at like upkeeping the trail. So it's really fun to run around that area. And it's obviously really pretty.
I'm gonna have to pick your brain, man. I think I'm gonna stay out there like a couple more days after Cirque to see, like, just to go play out there and see. Like, I probably won't do Rainier, but like go in the national park and do some, could do some running around there. It'd be sick.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. You can get like up on Rainier. You don't have to summit it. You could get really close for like Camp Muir. Yeah. Camp Muir is one of the really cool trails that you can like run up to it. It's like, I want to say it's like halfway up the mountain, but safe enough that you're not really like doing a lot of glacier travel. But there's like so many options over there, and it's really pretty. You actually need permits now. So
oh wow,
it's kind of crazy. It's just gotten so busy. So
wow. It's good to know. Well, listen, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Right about the 30-minute mark now. Dude, great conversation. Really appreciate it. Wishing you the best of luck at Broken Arrow in the rest of your season. And yeah, man, I'm thinking maybe midsummer we do like a long form one where we can sit and chat, do more dive back into your background and track and things like that, and talk about post Broken Arrow and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. Good talking to you.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. What's up, guys? It's summer, and you know what that means. You're going to need a new pack, hydration solution, bottle, belt, you name it. Guess what? Ultimate Direction's got you covered. Guys, I don't know if you've been perusing on the Ultimate Direction site lately, but we've got 2 new vests that have just dropped. That's going to be the Ultra Vest 12 liter and the Race Vest 6 liter in 2 beautiful colorways. And you know what? Guess what? We also dropped a quiver. Finally, the quiver is here. The quiver is there. Get it on the website right now. Use code SteepStuffPod for 25% off. All of these things are already extremely affordably priced. I think Ultimate Direction does an amazing job at their pricing to make it affordable for athletes of all economic abilities. And guess what? You're going to get yourself an additional 25% off by using code SteepStuffPod. Like I said, it's summer. It's Broken Arrow week. It's crazy. That's the vibes are high. The stoke is high. You're going to need a new vest. You're going to need a hydration solution. Like I said, go to Ultimate Direction. They've got you covered. 25% off with the code SteepStuffPod, and you are all set out the door. So, guys, enjoy your week. It's Broken Arrow week. Go crazy. Go wild. Guess what? Next week is TrailCon, and then we are in Western states. This is the best few weeks of our sport. So it's wild. Woo!